What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Iron King YouTube channel. Today, a little bit different video. We are gonna be refurbishing one of the most sought after winches you can ever buy, a worn 8274. So those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, this is an 8274 worn high mount winch. Probably one of the most sought after winches you can buy today. A lot of winches, honestly most of them, are not built like this, where they have a motor on the top and then a gear drive down to the bottom of the drum. These are really good for high-speed winching, recoveries. They're super tough, and this one, since it's an older one, is made in the USA. I picked this thing up on Facebook Marketplace. Guy had it, he was using it on his car trailer and never used it, I guess. Like, he had it, he bought the car trailer, didn't ever end up using this winch and didn't know if it worked or not. I got it for a pretty good deal, and today we're gonna take it apart, clean it up, make sure it works, put it all back together, and do a light refurbishment on this winch and hopefully get it mounted up to my snow wheeler. So our plan here is we're gonna start taking this thing apart. We're gonna get this mount off of here, unspool all of this old wire, and once we get all this off and apart and kind of lighten up the winch a little bit, because this stuff's really heavy, we're gonna pull these cases off, check all the gears out, we're gonna pull the solenoid box off. I have our sandblaster over there. I think we're gonna take these parts, take this brake off of here, make sure everything's in serviceable and working order, clean it up with the sandblaster, maybe do some light clear coat painting on this thing, check all the solenoids out, and put it back together and make sure this thing works. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this winch into free spool mode, and we're gonna take all this old cruddy wire out of here. And the way you do that on an 8274 is you have this little, I guess you call it like a shift fork or an idler fork, and it basically there's a little gear in here and it pulls it off so that you can free spool your winch. We're gonna go ahead and pull all this wire out of here. All right, so new plan here. This thing is pretty tight from sitting forever, so we're gonna go ahead and hook the forklift up to it. We put a knot in this cable because we're not gonna reuse it. We're gonna go with synthetic line from Yankum Ropes. Hook this thing up, unspool this winch. Okay, I'm back. I'm holding the brake open right here, and that's allowing us to unspool it a lot easier. There you go. How much more? You got about 2 more wraps on the drum. All right, so we have all of our lines spooled out of here. Next step is to get it off of this old trailer mount that it has been on forever. And what we got here is that someone's put in some plugs right here, and there's no, that looks like a hole right there, but it's just like a little indentation. So we're gonna get a torch and torch these out of here, get this old fair lead off, and get this winch separated from this old trailer mount. Do I?
Yeah.
Take a pick and pick that thing out. Yep.
Nice.
So they put in little
metal covers.
Yep.
Lost the hole in
Let's
the
see.
next one?
We're gonna put this over here.
Right in the bucket of water.
Yes, actually in this water. There we go. Yeah, so they're just little covers and there's no way to get them out. Okay. Just a little pop. Bam! See how the new Milwa does. Oh man, doesn't even care. They got 2 different size bolts in there.
Perfect. Smaller or larger?
Actually, they might be the same. It just needs chromey.
socket.
Yeah, chromey. Oh. Get rid of this plate now. Scrap pile. He is leaking a little bit of the Earls. Looks like that drum's leaking. There's a seal on the other side of this drum right here. So we'll have to inspect that and see if it's just seeping through, if they overfilled it. We'll have to check that out. You ever like go to work on something and you make it worse than when you started? Throw that down in the comments. You ever worked on something and it was better before you started working on it?
Definitely happened more than once.
Yes.
What do you see in there?
This should just come off of here. I think there's a seal. Just a little bit, yeah, right here. Here's your little thrust washer. This drum should work off of here, I think. Yeah, there's nothing, unless there's a shaft on the inside holding it in here. Yeah. We're gonna get all these cables off of here, mark them where we took them off, and get this controller box taken off so we can get to the motor, and hopefully get to the gears inside of it, check those out, and then get this drum off. So next step here, we have all of our wires unhooked from our controller box. These things are just in terrible condition, but we did mark them ground because this one was on the back of the motor. These other ones are marked as well. So our next step here, we're gonna get the top of the motor off and get that ready for cleaning, and then get on the inside of this gearbox here. It did surprisingly have oil in it when I checked before. So, well, I guess it has to have oil because it's leaking.
Good sign when it's still leaking.
Yes. I wonder if it's serviceable. I wonder if we can service that seal somehow and get it to stop, or if we got to order new stuff, but we'll find out.
Look across the street for the seal room.
Yeah, that's right. So here is our freewheel brake right here, and what we do is we're gonna pull this back, gonna slide off that. Looks just like a shift fork, like in a transmission of a car or a transfer case. Hooks onto this gear right here. Yeah, it's full of oil. So we'll try and keep these things organized as best as possible. Now that motor is completely free. So I believe our next step is a bigger flathead screwdriver on this other side, and we're gonna get this motor pulled off.
Damn, I didn't put one of those things in
Yeah.
here yet.
Look at that, it's actually coming off. This is like surprising me, I can't believe it. I'm used to everything just being, when you start working on it, it just gets worse. Should have just left it alone.
Quality made in the United States parts has gone long ways away now. But
Yeah.
back in the day, they're made really good, rebuildable.
Dude, look at that motor. That thing's like,
you
ooh.
just took the motor apart.
Yeah, that's okay. That's supposed to happen.
Okay.
So,
I think it could have just slid all out.
yeah. So there's our mow-tray. I think we're good there. We can probably clean that up. I don't think it looks bad. I mean, I'm not an electric motor person. Everything looks okay. I mean, there's some wear right here. I'm not sure if that's bad or not. We'll try and clean that up with like a wire brush or something and get all that carbon and material off of there. So we should be good now to pull this top cover off, so we're gonna need to get some Allens out. So all of our Allen bolts are out of here. I'm gonna try and crack this thing loose with a rubber mallet. Come on now. Is she cracking loose at all?
No budge.
They've got some serious silicone in there too.
Oh boy, glued her together real good.
Yeah.
It was back when silicone was made real good. Yeah,
Got it.
there it is. Oh, it's that blue stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Dude, those gears, it's full of oil. I wonder if he just overfilled it. Man, the bearings feel incredible in this thing. Okay, so there's our top piece. Okay, what do we got next? Probably the brake disassembly here. We're gonna have to drain this thing into a pan. Look at that, we got a pan right here. So these winches, which is different than a lot of like Harbor Freight, and not saying anything bad about those, but they're just a different design. And the way that this high mount winch works is you have all these gears in here that reduce it. Instead of one small planetary, you've got all these giant gears in here that allow it to speed the drum up and have a ton of torque. And that requires a bunch of oil to cool them down. So this thing's actually full of oil still. We're gonna drain it into a pan so we can keep working on it. I think someone put 90 weight in here. That doesn't look like 30 weight to me.
Yeah.
It looks a little thick.
It pours a bit like molasses.
Look at all the metal in it. That is glitter. Oh my. If this was in an engine, I'd be very concerned. But
correct.
In a 1980s worn winch that's probably never been serviced since the 90s, it's probably okay.
It only pulls you out when you're really desperately in need.
Yeah, exactly. You only need a winch when you need a winch.
Yeah, you only need a winch when you're really screwed.
Yes.
So might as well make sure it half works.
Yes. See, you're learning.
Yeah.
Okay, next step, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get all these gears out of here, clean this case up, and we'll be right back. So the winch is completely disassembled. We have all of our housings, plates, gears, and our bearings are all out of the winch. I have Robert over there, he's getting the main case solvented before we put it into the sandblaster. So it's got a bunch of like 90 weight oil on it, dirt, grime. I'd rather get all that off in our dirty parts cleaning solvent washer, dry it off, and then throw it into the sandblaster for a nice finish. And then what we're gonna do is get some of that red Scotch-Brite and some enamel clear coat, get that case looking like brand new again. Just gonna get all these gears cleaned up, inspect them for damage, inspect all the bearings, and we're gonna hopefully replace the seals that we could still buy, and then get this winch reassembled. So we got this all cleaned up in our solvent tank. I'm gonna hand polish the top piece of this because it's got the data tag on it, and I really don't want to compromise that. I want to leave that as it was. So we're gonna do a hand polish on that case. However, this one is gonna go into our sandblaster here. We're gonna get all of this grit and staining off of this and then give it a real nice Scotch-Brite and then a clear coat, and hopefully it brings back that original luster from this case. So I got our case all sandblasted and cleaned up best I can. So now I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take some of that automotive clear coat, like high gloss, and shoot this thing with it. Hopefully that kind of brings back the original shine and luster to this case. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those cans and get this thing all painted up. Now go ahead, we'll let that dry, and I'm gonna clean up the other case sitting right up there and get that one ready to go. So our top case here has this data tag on here, and I really don't want to put that in our sandblaster. I guess I could go around it, but I think it's just gonna be easier for me to just lube this thing up with some oil of some sort and then just polish it by hand, and hopefully it comes out as good as the other one that I sandblasted. All we can do is try. I'm gonna try a little bit coarser of a Scotch-Brite and see if that makes it any better. Working a little better. So I'm gonna have Robert here finish up polishing that top case. Meanwhile, I'm gonna start looking for some seals for that bottom drum, and Phil is working on the bottom drum right now, getting it all cleaned up so we can go ahead and get that thing painted a nice gloss black again. But what I need to do is get us a new square O-ring. So there's a little square O-ring, and that goes on the side of the drum, and this was seeping oil. It wasn't leaking per se, but you could see like a nice mark of where there's been some wet dirt around it. So I'm gonna go see if I have this square O-ring in my seal bin, and we'll see if we can find it and hopefully find us a new one, get that to stop seeping. So a little bit of an update. I ended up re-sandblasting this case. It just wasn't up to where I wanted it to be, and I think it turned out amazing after we got all done with it. And wanted to give you an update on this too. So this 8274 I mentioned was made in the USA. The new 8274 Warn winches unfortunately are not. I mean, I believe they're assembled here, but most of the parts are unfortunately made in China. And I wanted to show you this since my winch is from the 80s. Here is the part number on the motor, and it says right there on the bottom, it's kind of hard to see, but made in USA. So this is one of the really good 8274 Warn winches before they unfortunately went to the dark side. So we're gonna go ahead and I believe I'm gonna try and sandblast this thing. I don't think I'm gonna hurt it. Try and get it all sandblasted, clean the case up, and then basically all we're waiting on is the lacquer to finish drying on all of our parts, and we're gonna clean the gears with solvent, check them all out. I didn't see anything wrong with them, but we're just gonna give them a nice clean and a check, and then we're pretty much ready for assembly once everything gets all dry. So anyways, I'm gonna get this thing in the sandblaster and ready to go. So Phil is working on cleaning up the motor right now. I wanted to show you guys kind of like how to decode one of these Warn winches. So I looked up on Warn's website how to decode our 8274, and it was pretty interesting. So you'll see 3 numbers right here, or 2 letters and a number. You're gonna see an F, an R, and an 8. So the F stands for the month of the year that the winch was made, which would be February. The R stands for the working day that it was made. So this would be, what did we determine it was, guys? Like the 26th? So it was February 26th, and then the last number that is on that code is an 8. So that means that this winch was made February 26th of 1988. So that is how you decode an early 8274 winch. All right, so we have the winch completely disassembled on our table here. We have all the parts are clear coated and cleaned. We have one last gear to get cleaned up, which is this main shaft and I guess this gear too. So we're gonna get these cleaned up in the solvent tank, get them dried off, and then by the time these are done, we should be ready to start assembling our winch. So I got our shaft and our gear cleaned up in the solvent tank. We have a little bit of marking here from the bushing that it slides onto in the case. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clean this up with some Scotch-Brite really quick. Just super simple, not that big of a deal. We should be able to clean that right up, no problem. There's not any big grooves in it or anything. Can't feel it with a fingernail. I think it'll be perfectly fine. Just gonna give it a quick clean. Should be good to go. As we have our drum that was freshly painted and polished, we have our thrust washer right here is installed and our square seals installed. After that is this other bushing that goes on top of it. It doesn't appear to be directional. This side has a little bit of marking on it, which is probably our leak. So I'm gonna flip it around because this side is perfect. It's gonna go like that, stick it on that side, and that should take care of our leak, if that was the problem. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because you just pried it out.
Just to support it. And we can twist this back later. So that drops in there like that, and it acts like a spacer. Now we can take our shaft. Hell yeah.
You knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, am I in the
pull
hole?
her up a little more.
Up?
Yeah. Alright. Okay. So now that is fully seated. That drops down in there.
Should we go down further?
I think it should. Work it. And get our bushing. Push that in there like a boss. All good there. That slided in perfect. All right.
Oh, that sounds like it hit the bottom.
There we go. Now we're going to take our seal. Le seal. Going to slide right over that. gonna go super, super easy with this screwdriver. Yeah. There we go. Yep, everything's in, everything rotates good. Sweet. Now, we are at our top piece, correct?
Yep.
Silicone around this, actually we're gonna put it on this side. Much easier to fill this little groove. Okay. Clean this up a little bit.
Robert, did you see what I did there? I used the tool and I put it back.
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna clean this up a little bit on the inside. Place this on top like this.
It's the wrong way.
No, it's not. Alright. Nope. This guy. What? No. Okay.
Now, do you leave the edge or do you wipe it?
I wipe.
You wipe?
I wipe good. I wipe squeaky clean.
There you go.
I made it worse.
Accents.
Need another rack. So full of silly.
Did you read how much went in there to oil?
It says on there. Yeah. Our next step is going to be putting the electric motor on.
This is going to go in here, and it's going to dowel this one, just like that. Got a keyway here. I actually just painted this guy up. There's going to be a dowel hole here. Perfect. Installer.
Did only one of them have a washer like that on?
Yes, because the other one is for the negative. Okay, just snug will be fine. Sweet, now we're on to the assembling the brake back together, which that was kind of a bear to get apart. Hopefully it goes together a little bit better.
Little pieces of this grease, little chunks of it, and shove it down in between the balls. And this is a tacky grease, so it is not going to travel very far. It's going to kind of stay put on the bearings there, and it'll keep it from getting inside the clutch packs, which are what stop this clutch here. Right?
Yep, they go like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is pretty much our last step. We have our brake here, and we're just going to reassemble it the way we took it apart.
We had a little bit of an issue last time where this shaft was super rusted because it was been sitting for a long time, so we got it all polished up. Everything moves freely. I think we're not gonna have as bad as a problem as last time. Okay. And now we need our dowels. This is like a 5,000 person job. Okay. One dowel. Two dowels. Okay, you're gonna have to push this way. There you go. Just like that. Hold that right there. Alright, alright. There you go. Good job. There you go. It's in. There we go.
Done deal, boys.
Got it.
Done deal, boys. Sounds like it's brand new.
Yeah. All right, so we have our motor assembled. The whole winch is pretty much assembled and ready to go, but we have one more step, and that is to install our freewheel here. And it's basically a little lever here, and it's got a little shift fork on the end, and it takes a little pinion gear. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna slide the pinion gear in, making sure that this little chamfer is on the outside. Just like that, and then you gotta kind of be careful how you do this. Click it into that gear. And then find and line up the holes. Okay. Now, our freewheel is installed. We can test how this works, which I know it works, but we can rotate our winch a little bit and get that to click in. Now we know that we are locked in. We can pull it out, and that is going to allow us to freewheel. So that's all done.
All right, guys, we have the winch pretty much done. We have to do the solenoid box still, but I'm unfortunately waiting on parts. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna wrap the video up right here. I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit different than our usual videos, but fun nonetheless. As always, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments about how I refurbish this unit, throw it down in the comments section. And if you like this kind of content, I post it all the time, please consider subscribing to the channel. I will see you guys in the next one.